Welcome to Module 4 of the Tribal Data Toolbox training. And in this module, we are going to demonstrate entering quality control data into the toolbox. And by quality control data, I mean the checks that you do on your instrumentation on a regular basis to keep them up to date with the EPA requirements. And we highly recommend that you enter the results of your QC checks into the toolbox before you import the relevant pollutant concentration data. And why we recommend this is that allows you to look at your QC data that relates to your monitoring data and assign any flags to your monitoring data as a result of your QC checks. If you cannot do it this way, like if you just do not have time to enter your QC data into the toolbox before you import your data, it's okay to import your data first, your concentration data that is. However, that's not the recommended sequence of steps, and we highly recommend that you enter your QC data before you import your pollutant concentration data. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the toolbox, and we do that from the start menu. So we'll go into the start menu here, and then we go into my computer, and then we go into our C drive, and we find our Tribal Data Toolbox 3.0 folder, and we double click on Tribal Data Toolbox MDB file. And then we need to enter our database password, and here is the opening screen of the toolbox. So in our previous module, we demonstrated entering administrative data, and we did that through the new user's fast track option here. However, we're now moving forward, and we're going to be going on to the continuous or meteorological data fast track option. And this fast track is the one you'll probably be working with the most often if you're managing continuous or meteorological data. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the continuous or meteorological data fast track, and that opens up my fast track form. And in this form we have 4 buttons, and these 4 buttons represent all of the data entry or import functions for continuous and meteorological monitoring. The one I want to start with is the data inflow button. So I'm going to click on that button, and that brings up a new form. And on this form, I want to click on the enter quality control data button, and that will bring up another form. And here is the continuous methods quality control data entry form. So this is where you enter your QC checks into the toolbox. And first off, I want to let you know not to be intimidated by the look of this form. It might look like a monster, but it's really a friendly monster, and it's here to help you out just like we are. So it wants to keep your data looking like it should, and it wants you to use your verified pollutant data with confidence, and you can do that by entering your QC checks into this form. So this is also a data entry form, like the forms we've seen in the administrative functions. And by data entry, I mean that you type in or copy your values into the toolbox instead of importing them from an external source. So just as a reminder, the color scheme on this form is that yellow fields are required fields, and yellow fields with a red frame around them are also required, but they are also the primary keys of the toolbox, and it's really important that you enter data correctly into those fields. The white fields are the optional fields, and in contrast to the admin forms that we were looking at and entering our data into, these forms have 2 other colors on them. We have a green field up here, and this is a conditionally required field. So what that means is that if you're going to submit your QA check to AQS, you need to enter a value in this field. Otherwise, you cannot submit this check to AQS. We also have these blue fields here, and these are also conditionally required, depending on the other checks you enter into the toolbox. So for example, if you enter 0 data for a zero check, then the zero check units need to be filled in. Or if you enter a check one type, then these fields, the check one type and the check one units, need to be filled in. But if you don't have these checks, then you don't need to fill in these blue fields.